I think we're live. Boom.
Booyah. Get Valiant 121, man. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
Ended up not doing last week because um I went to Las Vegas.
How was Las Vegas? Are you allowed
Um,
is what happens in Vegas staying in Vegas, or can you tell us?
no, I can definitely tell you. What happens in Vegas definitely doesn't stay in Vegas. It's not how it works. Um, yeah, man, I mean we played a festival. It was really cool.
Which band of yours?
My band Septicemic.
Okay.
And we just got a new guitarist who is also in my other band, Glutton for Punishment. So the Las Vegas show was his first show with us, so that was really cool. Um, yeah, it was a good time. There's always crazy shit happening in Vegas. I mean, that's kind of how it is. I've played there like 4 times now, which is cool. Um, that festival, Las Vegas Death Fest, is always awesome every year. So it was awesome to be able to play it.
Awesome. I saw that you had lost some luggage. Did that ever get turned up?
Yeah, that whole situation was just stupid. Um, I flew back from Vegas overnight, got back into Minnesota like 5:30 in the morning. My wife came to pick me up, and we had just enough time to get out to Sioux Falls for what we were planning to do out there. And I went to pick up my baggage, and my symbol bag was gone. And um, yeah, I ended up spending like an hour and a half trying to figure it out. It was a whole big back and forth and walking around the airport, and it really sucked. And then they're like, "Well, we'll give you a call if we find it." So we didn't go to Sioux Falls. We waited around. Then they're like, "Well, actually, we're just going to send it to you. So you'll get it at your house, and you'll get it tomorrow." It's like, "Well, it's Saturday. Tomorrow's Sunday." And they're like, "No, you'll have it tomorrow at noon." Okay. So we didn't go to Sioux Falls for Sunday either, and we ended up coming home so that my bag wouldn't be sitting outside with all my symbols in it, and it didn't show up Sunday either. So it was pretty lame, and it came while I was at work on Monday.
Eh, that stinks, but at least you got your symbols. I know those are not cheap.
Yeah, and I had other stuff in my bag too, so I'm just glad that I got it all back and they didn't just completely lose it.
Oh, well, that's good. That's a
Yeah.
better week than I had. Uh, I was sick, and my kids got out of school, so you know, I'm just trying to survive.
Just tired, I'm sure, exhausted.
Yeah, the kids being home isn't that hard, but like being sick, I got like a bad sinus infection, which I also have a bad root canal. One probably caused the other,
Hmm.
so I gotta wait it out until next Thursday so I can get a root canal.
That sounds like
So
a blast.
man, it's fun. That's like something you could write some lyrics about. I'm sure you know.
Oh
But
man.
hey, enough of that shit. Okay, I'm sure people didn't come here to hear me bitch about my health.
Yeah, or listen to me talk about playing a show in Vegas that nobody cares
You don't
about.
know that. You don't know that.
Um, yeah, I mean, we don't have a whole lot to talk about. We're kind of in this lull right now where con season has started, um, but we haven't gotten into the really big cons, so we haven't gotten a lot of news dropping.
Well, we've had some news, but it's happened on weeks where we didn't do an episode, and then like the week after, I don't think we did an episode. But I mean, I feel like if you're listening to us, you guys keep up on the news. You keep up on like the current state of like Valiant, like I'm sure other places. So we don't need to go back to things that happened like a month ago.
What happened? I mean, nothing has really happened in a while. What are you talking
Well, I
about?
mean, they announced Dr. Mirage with Mags,
Yeah.
and I've read the preview, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, dude, I read the first Bloodshot.
Oh, so you got one too?
Yeah.
And I would say real quick, normally I'm not a fan of telling people to ever go out and get the ash cans when they come out because normally they're ridiculously priced. They're not worth anything. They're the same issue. You're going to get 6 months later, just there's no color in it. But for some reason, these two ash cans have been very well priced. So they're affordable. So I mean, I got a really good deal on them when I bought mine. So I would recommend buying them. They're pretty awesome. What do you think of Bloodshot? We don't. I mean, we're not going to really talk about it, but were you
Yeah, we
happy?
definitely can't get into spoilers, but all I'll say about it is that I'm extremely excited for this Bloodshot series. I think that this series seems like it's going to have everything that I was hoping Bloodshot Rising Spirit would have. I think it's going to be, I think it's the like polar opposite take on Bloodshot from what Jeff Lemire did. Jeff Lemire broke the character down, took away everything that made Bloodshot who he was, and then rebuilt him. And I feel like Tim Seeley is taking the opposite approach where instead of trying to deconstruct and then reconstruct the character, he's just saying, look, Bloodshot can be super badass. What are the things that makes, that what are the elements that come together to make Bloodshot really badass? And how do we put all of that into a comic book? And that's what I feel like we got in that first issue.
I agree. Yeah, it'll be very action packed, fast paced. It looks like a lot of fun.
Good. It's
I
like,
mean, like sometimes, like, 'cause I think like sometimes like writers want to just kind of dissect a character and they want to go slow on it and they want to flesh out so many things. And I kind of feel like looking at what Tim is trying to do, it's not like that at all. Like it's just like here's a story, man. Like it's gonna be high octane, people getting shot, shit happening. And I kind of feel like after Lemire's run, which was good, and Rising Spirit, which is really not, like I'm kind of just ready for like a balls to the wall, like just pure action Bloodshot book.
yeah, 100%. And the nice thing about it is there's enough of the like, you know, mystery and military conspiracy stuff possibly happening in the background. Like obviously it's an opening issue of a run. You don't get a lot of like depth and whatever. You get about as much as you would expect from an opening issue. But I feel like it really sets the stage for what could be, just a super fun, fast paced, like you said, high octane, action packed comic that has interesting, paramilitary and governmental conspiratorial storylines with the just all out nonstop badassery that, Bloodshot really lends himself to. I think it's like, honestly, I think that first issue kind of reminded me of a little bit of certain things from John Wick. It's
Hmm.
just so ultra action. You know what I mean? Like every John Wick movie just becomes more highly stylized, over the top action. And I feel like that's what that first issue was. So if you don't like action, you're probably not going to be into it. If you do like action, I think you're really, really going to love this book.
Yeah. Um, I thought that both those books had a lot to offer. That I think a lot of fans will really get into it. I know people haven't been digging Rising Spirit. I'm included in that, but you know, I think we're all going to be happy. Like what September? I think September's when it comes out.
Yeah.
It'll be good. So
Yeah, it's going to suck to wait all the way until September just to get the issue that I already read. That's the only thing that's a bummer about these ad cans.
oh, I know, but at least like you get a chance to see the pencils. Brett Booth's pencils
Oh,
look
yeah.
rad. Holy shit! Like,
Yeah,
why can't
dude.
they have to do the covers? That's the only thing I think. Because honestly, I'll be honest. I don't like the Declan Shelby covers. I just don't think they really look like what the book is inside. Like they don't really represent like what the book is. It's just like here's just like a picture of Bloodshot, like standing there doing nothing. Like literally doing like nothing, not even in like an action pose. It's like not a great A cover. That's just my opinion. It's good art. It's like what you're gonna see.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree. I couldn't agree more. I think that Declan Shalvey's a good artist. I just don't think that it was right for this book. It doesn't feel like it fits to me. Um, however, I think that seeing that cover and then opening the book and just being slapped in the face with the intense art that Booth has turned in, like, I don't know. I mean, I can't really complain. Um,
It'll look good, man. I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot of it colored, but I mean, like from what we've seen, I mean, like I feel like it's gonna be like a beautiful book. I really think
yeah,
it's.
those couple colored pages that we saw were phenomenal. And reading the book, yeah, I cannot wait to see the final book. I think it's going to be really, really badass. Um, yeah, definitely excited about it.
And I mean, like, there's not really much to say about like the new Dr. Mirage book. I think like it's gonna be something very different from what Jen Van Meter did. At least that's what I. That was kind of like my take from the first issue of it. Um, it kind of gets going really fast too. It's like how the Bloodshot book doesn't waste time, and I felt like Dr. Mirage is the new book. It's not wasting any time either, kind of getting going. But there's just, I mean, I feel like you can say even less about it because there's really not much you can say without spoiling anything of that one. I felt, but they're both gonna be great. I think people will like them a lot. You know, it's just kind of nice to see some new blood working with the Valiant books, and it's good to see them getting some of these characters back out. I think a Bloodshot book like the one that we're gonna get is the perfect kind of thing to have when the movie's gonna be coming out in February. And hopefully by then, Valiant has some new number ones. Hopefully, like when Bloodshot comes in the theaters in February, they do something big to get people to recognize the universe, the publishing universe at least. You know, that's a big thing for all of us because that's why we're here. We like to read these books. So I'm just kind of hoping, and maybe if anyone at Valiant who listens, just do some stuff to get people excited for like the books. You know, get some books out there that are number ones. People are gonna be coming to get Bloodshot. Maybe they can pick up some other stuff that's like brand new to them too. You know, that they can easily get into. There's number one right there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we know we're getting a new EXO series this year, so that's going to be
This
relatively fresh when the Bloodshot movie comes out. I mean, it's not going to be on a number one, but it'll be relatively fresh with a tentpole character. And there have been some hints that we're going to get some of the other major characters coming back to the shelves as well over the past several months. So we'll see if any of that pans out. We
There
do
was
have,
one other thing. I didn't know if you knew anything about this though. They did talk about how the visitor was going to happen again with
yeah, I remember seeing an article of somebody like maybe it was Bleeding Cool or somebody
Paul
uh,
Levitz.
yeah, an old school writer, Levitz, coming in and doing a new take on The Visitor. I have no idea what that could mean.
All I know is I called it from the picture. Like I said, it was going to be the visitor. Is it the visitor? As far as like Levitz writing it, I don't know. I mean, I haven't read anything by him in like the last couple of years, or the last couple of things I've read that he's written, where I walked away really impressed. I like. I mean, like for me, like I think about the Legion of Superheroes, from, like the 1980s. Like that's the kind of stuff that I associate him with. So it's like, and I have those books and I like them. We'll see what he's bringing to the table in 2019, and I hope it's good. But kind of a weird thing though, and there's a weird twist with it. I'm sure it's not going to be the same way because in the old Valiant universe, the Visitor was Pete,
Right.
and so who knows what they do with it now? It'd be kind of weird if it was Pete now. Like there wouldn't be any like shock to it. Like you just be like, oh, cool. Like this character hasn't done shit for like a couple years, so who cares now? But I don't know, man. We'll just see, man. There was some news like a while back, and that's about all I think there was. So we can get into the reviews.
Yeah, yeah, we got a couple books that we can talk about. We can jump into Fallen World 2 quick here.
Yeah,
Um, I do think that, one thing that we had some criticism for on the first issue was the art. And while I don't necessarily think that the art is, my favorite or the best it could possibly be in this issue, I do think it was better than the first issue, and it's really solid all around. I felt like this issue was a lot more consistent, and I did really like the art on this issue. Again, maybe it's not perfect, not a five on the art, but it is really good.
Yeah, so like this issue reintroduces the he's like the Circadian and his crew from the Free Comic Book Day issue, and they kind of take side with Father. Ryan and Galad have a battle with Father, and Father makes all these like bloodshot. Uh, I don't know what they really are, like just like little decoys of himself. I didn't think like
Makes
this.
fucking pterodactyls and shit.
Yeah, he makes like bloodshot pterodactyls and stuff, and it was a decent issue, and like I'm still not digging the art too much, but I will say this: there are moments with the art where I'll look at certain panels and I'll just be like, man, like the faces look great. Like there's like a lot of stuff near the end when Rye and Galad they're camping out. It's right before the end of the book, and I just think some of the faces are just drawn really well, especially Rye. And I actually, honestly, I really like bearded Rye. I think it's a good look for the character. Um, I think he looks like a bit of a badass like this. My favorite part of this book, though, easily was the end of it when War Mother showed up. We I liked the last miniseries, well, the only miniseries of her, and I liked the one shot that we got during 4001. I'm hoping she plays a big part in these next two issues, or next three issues, I guess, really. But I was pretty happy about that. But I don't know. This was, I mean, like reading wise, I felt like this issue was just as good, and I maybe liked the art just a little bit more this time around.
I would say I like the art significantly more this time around. In that first issue, there were a few pages that I really didn't like, and this issue didn't have that. There are, um, I would say that there are high points. The other issue had some serious low points, and then the rest of it was, you know, maybe slightly better than average. Where this one, I would say the vast majority of the book is slightly better than average, and there are some serious high points in it. So I think overall it's quite a bit of an improvement. Like you said, there are some faces that are really well drawn. There's some Rai faces. There are moments of his. I love the Raijin kid. I love we're getting Lula and the Geomancer, but while I definitely agree with you that it was super badass to get War Mother at the end of this issue, and I agree, I want to see a lot of her in the next few issues of this series. I think my absolute favorite part of this book is how Galad has been handled in it. I really feel like his voice as a character is shining through, and maybe it's Abnett writing this, right?
Yeah.
I think that he's really taking a liking to Old Man Galad.
Well, I think the nice thing about this book in that regard is that it's not just a riot book. Like
Yeah.
it's just a book set in the year of 4002. So I like the fact that we're not just getting like Rise point of view. You get a lot of blood. We're getting a lot of the other characters, popping up here and there. There's little bits and pieces, and how it's going to work out, who knows? But it does work really well, and it's not just Rice centered. He's
Yeah.
obviously a big part of like what's going on, but yeah, Galad is awesome. There's a Geomancer in 4002. She's pretty awesome too so far. I think, the one thing I was going to say about the art, going back to that real quick, is I think the panels that aren't quite so busy tend to be the ones that I like the most. I think that's where I don't like the art so much, is it's just there's a lot going on, and with the art on that book, like I said, the pages where they're not quite as busy with action and stuff like that, those tend to be the moments I'm liking the best visually.
That's fair. I do think some of the more like simple, striking panels are the ones that really stand out as the better ones. The coloring is also phenomenal in this issue. I think that's really a high point as well. Um, and then the other thing I was going to say, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with, this isn't just a Rye book. And I think we had kind of talked about this before, the fact that it's called Fallen World. It's not called Rye something. It's not even called Rye, the Fallen World. It's just Fallen World. And I think that it really is doing a good job of having a massive scope without being overly ambitious. Like it doesn't feel like it's too big for its britches, but it does feel like it's straining at the seams, like because the world of this book is so huge that there's just barely enough room to fit it all in, and I really like that. Obviously, it would suck if it had that feeling, but it felt like it was overwhelming. And so it's really nice that it's got that balance of like you can really tell the world is huge, but at the same time you feel like it's manageable. You can follow the story. Something we talked about a bunch was Power Rangers a while back, and when Shattered Grid happened, I was super excited for it. But once I got a few issues into Shattered Grid, it was impossible to follow. The story got so huge that I couldn't keep up with it without like doing a whole bunch of extra research, and that just wasn't fun. You know what I mean? So it became hard to read. And I feel like this is the polar opposite of that. This is taking that same concept and doing this huge story that involves an enormous number of characters, but doing it in a way that is really easy to follow. There are clear narratives, and we understand what each character is going through and what's going on and who everybody is.
Yeah, like it's funny you bring up the Power Rangers thing because I feel the same way about it. And I liked what I read, but I think that was the book where you had to read everything that Boom was setting up with it. Whereas with this one, like with Fallen World, they do such a good job of recapping everything that if you were like a longtime reader, everything that's happened to get you right into it. So kudos on that with the writing, just because it didn't make you have to sit there and be like, oh shit, I don't know anything that's going on. I've got to go back and read 16 issues of Rye, and I got to go read or I got to read 4001, and then the one shots. So they did a good job kicking this thing off.
Yeah, to me, this is a super solid book. I'm going to give it actually a 4.25. I think it's really strong. And I think that I probably gave the first issue a bit lower of a score. But I think that this was a really, really strong second issue. And it's got me really excited to see where we go through issue five. And hopefully, this doesn't end with issue five. I mean, there's such a huge world and so many story possibilities that I think getting more than just the five issues is kind of a necessity.
Yeah, I'm gonna go just a hair lower. I'm gonna go to 4. This book is doing a good job of you know doing the story really. I mean, like with getting Rye and explaining Father, but um, I just thought it was just a hair bit not as exciting as as the first issue. But we'll see what happens. It's still good or still a great
Yeah.
score.
So the other book that we have to review is Toyo #4, The Life and Death of Toyo Harada #4 of 6. So only two more issues left in this series. Oh my God, I cannot imagine what the next two issues are going to be like. My biggest takeaways from this issue are number one, Toyo cannot be dead. I'm not okay with Toyo being dead. He's got to be alive at the end of this series. Two, um, what is going to happen with Ingrid and her being pregnant? That's fucking crazy. And three, who is the child that Harada fathered back when he was the empty man? Those are the three big things for me right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to even go over. I mean, we're not gonna spend a half hour delving into this. I don't think. A really incredible issue. Like I for one, I think like Toyo's body, the body that we've seen for so many issues, I think that body's dead. Okay, and so I think that like when Toyo goes to Ingrid and he's like, "You need to stay alive." There's something in her because they bone, you know, and there's got to be like some kind of like transfer of consciousness. That's why
He
he's like,
created like a bone clone, is what you're saying.
of sorts, yeah, but like it's got to be
He
something like that
he
where,
boned a clone into her.
well, I mean, the kid just done like normal procreation, But what I'm saying is like it's got to be like his consciousness. Like if he's dead, his mind has to go somewhere. Like what he's got enough ability that he can send himself to where he needs to go. Um, really curious about like what happened with the child that was fathered. Yeah, I mean, like whether that plays out. And I almost, I've been sick and I've been doing like a lot of reading, but I didn't read back on any of the Harbinger stuff. But like, I feel like I'm curious if there's like a lot of hints as to like things that if I was to read through Harbinger and Imperium, if there's like things I would pick up on now, seeing this stuff develop right before our eyes. Um, just because like I feel like the writing is just so solid on this. Not even so, I don't even know if I would say it's solid. Like it's just really well done. I mean, it's just so good. Um, I also think like it's kind of crazy. Like when I read this issue, like like Lord 99 is dead. Levine's got to be dead, and I wonder about the rest of the cast. Because are we going to see this thing play out with Broken Angel surviving? Because she's gone to war with Harada, and she's probably killed Harada, and there's got to be a consequence, and I can't see her surviving in a way. Like I just feel like that Josh Dysart gets to clean house on his characters a little bit. In a way, they are his characters. He created them. But I'm just kind of wondering, like, who's going to be left standing when this thing's done? Like, sunlight on snow. It's crazy, and
Who
I'm
knows?
not saying these things in like a bad way either. Like, if Great Dog dies, it'd be too bad. Um, Lord Vine was probably like my least favorite of the Imperium, honestly. But
Yeah, but
like
he's so badass and he's like hilarious to
But
read.
out of all the characters though, to me he's the weakest one. Like he's the guy where you're just like he's just a big monster. He's
I
cool and
think Grave Dog
he
is
has
the
like a really odd vocabulary pattern, but at the same time I feel like he's the guy out of any of these that you can just be like he's gone and you can move on.
I
Like I
think
would.
Grave Dog. That's Grave Dog for me. Like you could lose that character and I'd be completely fine.
Oh, I don't know. Like I think early on in Imperium, if you would have killed him off early on in Imperium, I think yeah. But to me, he's taken on like a whole different life inside of the Life and Death of Toyo Harada. So I'm hoping he survives, man. I hope a lot of these pieces survive. I just don't think they will.
Yeah. I mean, this is there are lots of consequences in this story, and I really hope that, Toyo has found a way to pass his consciousness along. That's kind of what I'm expecting, but who knows what that'll actually turn into, how that'll play out. The other thing also is that fucking brain that Angela ran off with. Like, I'm really curious to see what comes of that by the end of this story. Um, but I think the real takeaway here is we need more Josh Dysart in the Valiant universe, man. I mean, we can't. Oh,
Oh, this is it, man. This is the end of that, man. You know it. That's
I
too bad.
know, but I don't want to. I don't want it to be. That's all.
I know. I felt like after we interviewed him a while back, it really sounded like, he wanted to take the big plunge, like a bigger plunge towards like creator own, which thinking about like the quality of his work, it's like, man, why wouldn't you? Like, Goodnight Paradise is
Good
so
night.
good.
Yeah, Good Night Paradise was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah. And it's like,
That
and
book
I
was
think about
great.
like things that he's told me to like read that he's done. I'm just like, man, like you're really good with other people's stuff. Like I can't imagine he's not just like there where he's like, I've just got like a lot of creator own stuff, my own ideas, things that get to be mine. But I'll tell you what, I mean, like that's the case. He's going out on top because the Life and Death of Toyo Harada is far and away the best thing right now. And we still got two more issues. And here's the
So,
thing, like for anyone listening to this interview, like the things that we've talked about. I mean, there's so much you can talk about with this issue. There's just so much stuff going on, and there's really no Harada, not in the current sense, But I feel like you could talk about this book for a long time, just because there's
so
so.
one thing that we have to mention, and we haven't even talked about and touched on yet, is the art in this book. Kafu is nailing it. He's fucking perfect. And I got to look at it. I don't remember the name, but the guy who did the flashback art, Diego Yapur, was
Yeah.
also just phenomenal. I think that the art in this series all the way through so far has been amazing, and this issue was absolutely no exception.
Yeah, the art is awesome, and a lot of times when I've seen the fill-in art, I haven't been that impressed with it. Here, I love it. His art's great. Caffey's art's great. Everybody's art's great. It's To me, it's a perfect issue. Like,
I'm at a 4.75 here. Um, I
man,
don't know
I
if I
just
could quantify for you why it's not a five. That would be really hard for me to sit down and do. But I feel like a 4.75 is the right score for me on this book. It's
the only thing
it's
is I can't think of anything I dislike of it. Like I like the fact that halfway through it, there's a kind of a sense of like trouble for all of the main cast, and Harad has always found a way to pull everything through, like Imperium. They always find a way to be on top. And here it's just like it's so dire. And even though they're the bad guys, you're obviously rooting for them. Like you're not rooting for Kozel or or and that kind of stuff. So it's like for me, like the way that the tone of this book is set and the art is perfect. I can't imagine there's really not anything more I really want of it other than just like the next two issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely am interested to see where this goes. We got two issues left to see where Dysart leaves Harada and the rest of this crazy cast of characters. I feel really confident that we're going to continue getting amazing art. We know that we're going to get awesome writing from Dysart. Um, yeah, I just, whew, I don't know, man. Toyo can't be dead. That's like my biggest thing is I can't. I'm not going to be able to handle that.
Toyo can be a new Toyo in a new body.
Yeah, it's going to have to be something like that.
I think it's gonna end up, but that's okay. I mean, like, because I feel like there's hints. Well, and this we don't see this stuff too much with like new Valiant, but like in old Valiant, like I'm pretty sure like Harada could like put his mind in like someone else's body, or like he could transfer his like consciousness, just completely into something different. But we haven't he hasn't been put in a situation in this where that could happen. But I also feel like, man, he's like the most powerful dude, like so if that's the explanation of it, it works because like his mind is so powerful as it is.
Well, if I remember the last issue correctly, he spent like a couple days interfacing with that brain that was spanning dimensions. So I think that he learned some things there that allowed him to survive the dematerialization of the explosion that killed
Yeah.
him. So we'll see. We'll see. But
Great
looking
issue.
forward, we've got two issues coming out next week. I think we're going to try to move to Wednesday next week if we
Yeah.
can, and try that out moving forward. So starting episode 122, look for us on Wednesday evening.
Look for us on Hump Day.
Yeah, dude. And that way we're coming out on comic book day. People get their new comics, and then in the evening after you've had a chance to get off of work and read them, you can join us and have a conversation about the books. So the books that we'll be talking about next week, we finally get to review Psylords #1, and we're also getting Livewire #7. I think that Livewire has been a really strong book so far, and Vita really understands the character and knows how to write her. So I'm curious and excited to see where Livewire goes, knowing that we're at least getting another arc beyond this is really exciting. And then
Yep.
we got to read Psylords #1, so I'm definitely stoked to refresh on that, reread it, and come back and talk about it finally. And then also, because I've already read this book forever ago, I'm excited to talk about this issue and then move on and see what comes next because I think that Psylords has a lot of potential.
Yep. We'll see. We'll talk about it.
Definitely. All right. Well, fairly short episode, but I want to say thanks to anybody watching or listening later. I don't know if anybody's hanging out with us live, but haven't
I didn't
been.
even check.
I haven't been paying as much attention to the chat as I normally do, but whatever. Either way, I want to thank everybody hanging out, watching us, listening to us. Like I said, we'll be around next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central, our normal time, just a different day. And we will chat about Livewire and Psylords. Until then, I'm Eric Baumgard.
And I'm Josh Rathbun.
I hope you all stay valiant, y'all.
Stay valiant.